Hi, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. A special thank you to my patrons, Wild Rose, Lauren Chris, That British Unicorn, Jam Beans, Debbie Elliott, and D. Higgins. So we are going to do something a little bit new, a little bit different, and yet still the same. I wanted to celebrate the return of Thousand Pound Sisters. So I watched the first season on my own because I did not have a YouTube channel. But I remember seeing Zachary Michael's take on it, and he is, as always, fantastic. So I really enjoyed that. So I kind of wanted to do my own spin on it. So this trailer just came out of the Thousand Pound Sisters and for season 2. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And I figured that when the episodes come out, I can do one by one, make one video a week and just talk about, what's happening, give my take on it, and kind of pick out, the bits that I wanted to talk about. I probably won't talk about everything, and Zachary Michael's probably going to be a hell of a lot funnier. But, if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can check me out too. So, let's get into this, shall we?
It's a Paris Fashion Week up in here.
First thing, so they are wearing masks, which means that I guess this is filmed in pandemic times. That's interesting. I wonder if that's going to impact the way that the season is sort of built and like what they're doing. I wonder if that impacts their health a lot or anything that's happening actually in the show, or if it's just sort of going to be like background dressing and they're going to test everybody in the show itself. I mean, I've seen the trailer a couple times already, so I didn't see anyone wearing masks. That concerns me a little bit. I kind of feel like they should have had that in there, especially given the fact that they are in such delicate health conditions, especially like with Tammy. I think that there was something, I'm pretty sure that she's already had COVID. So like it's worrying, right? A lot of their family members are also in the obese category, and obesity is one of the factors that increases your likeliness to develop, contract COVID, I should say. So I find that a little bit weird. And also I just don't like when it's like reality shows that are filmed during COVID and no one's wearing a mask. Like, I really wish that they would have that. But I mean, I'm judging this on the trailer. So entirely possible that in the actual show, they will show more of that. I'm curious, though, how they're going to talk about COVID in this show.
This season on Thousand Pound Sisters. Oh, mother. I got a bottle in my butt.
What's it lost?
It's yours.
Oh.
Bella's growling.
Belly growling.
I thought there was a dog in there for a second.
Wow, Amy is looking a lot smaller. Like, good job, you. That's awesome. I mean, with weight loss surgery, it's a tool, and it can make it easier for you to lose weight, but it does not guarantee weight loss, and it does not guarantee that you will have a positive outcome. That is still all on you. So the fact that she's managed to do that is very impressive. I'm really happy for her, and I know she wants to have a baby, so that's great.
Smile for me. Beautiful.
I got a big secret.
What's your secret?
I'm pregnant. Having a baby means the world to me. It's like everything I've always wanted.
But it's too soon.
I know, it's like, I'm scared as hell. I got pregnant 4 months after weight loss surgery. Dr. Proctor told me to wait 2 years. Oops.
Okay, so she is pregnant, and I didn't know that when I said the last one, okay? But, you got to keep a little bit of suspense. Here's the thing. Even with weight loss, she's still a heavier lady, right? Being a heavier lady increases your risk of certain complications during pregnancy. For example, high blood pressure and GD, which is gestational diabetes, which can both increase just the complications that you have during pregnancy, but it can also increase your baby's chances of developing diabetes later on down the line. On top of that, being obese means that some of the tests that are available to everybody else will not be available to you, or will not be as precise or as effective as they would be for others. For example, ultrasounds are notoriously difficult to do on obese people, especially those who carry a lot of their weight like right in the midsection, so like right here. It can be very, very difficult. So that might increase her chances of that just might increase the chances of there being complications during her pregnancy. Additionally, data has shown us that women who are obese tend to have higher rates of C-sections. So that's also something to keep in mind. And if you've got a lot of abdominal fat, a C-section can be significantly more difficult on you and might require specialized surgeons who might not always be on hand, and that might delay the procedure. It just depends, right? I know that they're in Kentucky, but it depends on what the staffing situation of the hospital is. Plus, once more, this is during COVID time, so having all of those medical personnel available is also going to be a challenge. There's also some evidence and some suggestions out there that COVID-19 might affect pregnant people differently than it affects everybody else. And we don't know what the effects of contracting COVID during pregnancy are on the developing baby. We don't know what the long-term effects of it are. We don't know if we can give a pregnant person the COVID vaccine. I mean, so far, I think so, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And you don't know what the long-term effects of it are. And also, they might not even be available for a very long period of time. This is why I say, listen to your doctors, friends. I had a friend of mine, she had, I don't remember what it's called right now, like it's slipping from my mind, but essentially what it is that your placenta is pretty low and it's actually covering your like vaginal opening. And if she had gone into labor naturally, the doctor had said she would bleed out in less than 3 minutes and both her and the baby would have died. So they induced early and the doctor told her under no circumstances are you to conceive for at least 2 years. And once you conceive after 2 years, we'll have to reassess. But because if she has to go something like that again, through something like that again, it will be a significantly more difficult process for her. And it could potentially end up being even more life-threatening than it was the first time around. So this is why you have to listen to your doctors. Like they do know what they're talking about. They recommend and make suggestions based on the most accurate available science to them. Accidents happen, of course, but I just think that it would have been smarter for her to be a lot more careful. Additionally, women who've had weight loss surgeries actually present with a unique set of problems that women who have not undergone weight loss surgeries may not. For example, women who have had weight loss surgery tend to have babies that are significantly smaller, tend to have them prematurely, and the babies that they have are at higher risk of having congenital anomalies. Oh my goodness, that word is hard to say. The last thing that I just want to mention is that when you've had weight loss surgery, you're very restrictive in what you can eat and how much you can eat for a long while afterwards. And when you are pregnant, you want to eat everything. I've had friends who've told me when they were pregnant, they're like, I cannot wait even 5 minutes. If I don't eat now, I'm going to absolutely die. So when you've got that kind of like level of hunger and that kind of craving, it can be hard to stop yourself more than it would be for anybody else under any other kind of circumstances. I just mean to say that having had weight loss surgery can present you with a lot of unique challenges, and I'm not entirely sure if Amy really took all of that into consideration before having a baby. Now, once again, you know, accidents happen, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, never, but I just think that if you know that these could be the problems you could encounter, because this can be life-threatening, you should be as careful as you possibly can.
I had reached Dr. Proctor's goal for surgery. Let me just sit down. But I've fallen off the wagon. I can't catch my breath.
How about I join you on the weight loss journey? For support, it ain't gonna hurt me to be a little healthier either.
I'm glad my brother's going to help.
No more excuses.
So Tammy's brother is joining her in the weight loss. That's awesome. I said before that having support is a really great thing. Spousal support especially makes a huge difference in your outcomes. Having somebody do the diet with you, be there for support with you, eat the same foods that you're eating, it can really encourage you and just make it feel like there's a lot of camaraderie there, that we're in this together. And that really does increase your likelihood of following through with the diet. Another thing that it really helps with is just if you've got another person there and they're not eating the same thing as you, they might be tempting you with their food, and just to have that taken away can also make a huge difference.
The baby's coming soon, and we have no room in that house. We're thinking about getting a bigger place.
Everything's going to change.
Ooh, moving both during a COVID and during pregnancy, that is going to be tough. I can't help but wonder how this situation's actually going to change going forward. Like how much Amy is going to be able to take care of stuff that Tammy needs, especially considering that, you know, you've just had a baby. Babies are hard work, especially when they're tiny. You're like sleep deprived, you're exhausted, and you need basically all of the support that you have, right? Like you need your partner, you need potentially parents, you might need like a night nanny or something like that, depending on what you have available to you and what the challenges of the particular baby are. You could also be very lucky, like my friends were, and have a baby that's like super hecking chill and just goes to bed at night easily. But that's not always a guarantee. You could definitely end up with a little bit of a fussier baby. And if they've got colic, it can be even harder. So Amy is not going to be able to help Tammy out. And I know Tammy's still relying on Amy for a lot of the stuff that she does outside of the house. Now, her brother's there. He might be able to pick up some of the slack. But I do wonder how much of the slack he's going to pick up and how much more he's going to have to accommodate in the wake of Amy's pregnancy.
I miss my boyfriend Jerry more and more every day. I don't even want to be in this house without him.
What up, baby girl?
I can't believe you found my hair.
Do you want her to get the surgery?
Yeah.
But you like big girls.
And?
I don't trust him. She needs somebody that's going to motivate her in this weight loss and not just want her to stay the way she is.
We all need to change our eating habits. Well, practice what you preach then, bitch. I have been, bitch.
I'm worried about Tammy. Your chances of dying in the next 5 years are about 80%.
Let's see what you got going on. That's up.
This is a crisis. You're about to die.
You remember how I mentioned earlier about how having a brother there and like spousal support, and that can be like a great thing and can really aid you in weight loss? Jerry presents the exact opposite scenario. If he likes a bigger girl, he might not ever say anything to Tammy about it, but if there's even the implication on his part, or even if Tammy somehow misunderstands what he's trying to say to mean that, hey, if you lose weight, you will no longer be attractive to me, she might purposefully try and halt her weight loss. She might purposefully slow down. And that can be detrimental to her. Now, the doctor says in the trailer that her risk of adverse health outcomes in the next 5 years are like extremely high. I think he says she might pass away. But I don't think that's necessarily, like, I can't make that kind of call. I'm not her doctor. I don't know what her other complications are. I think that's a little dire and probably a little dramatized because, you know, it's reality TV. So, like, of course. That said, it wouldn't surprise me. When you've been obese for that long a period in your life, there's just certain comorbidities that come with it. And the way that I've seen it happen in people is that they kind of happen all at once. Like your body is doing its best, it's doing its best, it's doing its best, and then all of a sudden it just gives out. You just get to a point where your body's like, I cannot handle this nonsense that you're throwing at me anymore, and different organ systems start to break down. That's honestly what I worry with Chantel too, is that she's saying that she's only gained like 1.5 pounds, but then you look at her face and you look at her health outcomes and you compare them to where she was about a year ago, and there's a huge difference. And the reason for that is, worryingly, I think, that her body just isn't able to handle the abuse that she's putting it through. It's got nothing to do with, you know, it's got essentially nothing to do with how much weight she's gained, and everything to do with the fact that she's aged very fast in this past year. And I feel the same is true for Tammy. So the doctor might very well be right here. He could also obviously be exaggerating. And I'm curious to see what other things he's going to talk about. I'm assuming that whatever her other comorbidities are, he's going to mention it in this series. I'm pretty sure it's going to make for good television. So pretty sure he's going to bring them up. And I'm really curious to see what the context surrounding this particular clip is.
I really hurt bad. There's so many unknowns with this pregnancy. Anything could go wrong.
I'm headed to the ER right now because I'm in blinding pain. Amy got pregnant way too soon after surgery. It could possibly kill her at the end. No, you're not on life support. What the are you talking about?
Yeah, I can understand that. Like, first of all, pregnancy is a hard thing. Giving birth is like really tough. I've seen like births happening like in real life, IRL, and it's one of the strongest things that a woman can do. It is like just one of the most painful experiences that you can have, right? Especially because I have a cousin who's had 2 babies, both of them completely unmedicated. So like, oh my God, like kudos to you, ma'am. I can understand Amy's worry here, especially given the complications that she could be looking at. I can understand why she would be so scared. So I don't know the exact context around this clip once more. It could just be over dramatization, but it could also very well be true. And yeah, I mean, being afraid of dying is like a very natural thing. I'm laughing, but genuinely, like that's a very real concern. When you're in that kind of pain, yeah, of course she'd be scared. So I'm really curious. I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope Tammy makes a lot of great strides forwards and that she ends up getting the weight loss surgery and sees some dramatic results. Like, I'm really holding out hope for her. I'm really like rooting for her. I was so happy to see Amy's progress in the first season. I'm kind of hoping that this season we see the same thing happening for Tammy, and then maybe like next season they can also talk about, you know, like her brother. I just like seeing people get healthier. Is that like a weird thing? I just like seeing people who were not doing great before doing great now. Like, it makes me feel like, yeah, they can do it, I can do it, everyone can do it, we can all collectively be better. I don't know, it like really pumps me up when I see people like just lifting themselves up and just doing so much better, you know? Well, that's all I had to say about that. I hope this was entertaining, and I'm looking forward to reviewing the series for you guys. As always, if you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, you can give me a thumbs down. That's totally okay. I respect everybody's opinions here. Leave me a comment down below if there's something you'd like me to really know. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below, and hit all if you want to know when I upload any video. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram, where I upload my food stuff and my life stuff. But I don't really have a life right now, so it's just food stuff. But I'm a pretty good cook, so hey, you can check that out. I've got Twitter. I'm a little bit toxic and a little bit petty on Twitter, but it's also the easiest way to reach me. So if you guys are interested in that kind of content, that's where you can find it. And I've also got Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing and you'd like me to continue, and you want to throw a few coins in my direction, well, that's where you can do it. And if you want, rather than supporting me on Patreon, you could perhaps think about supporting me as a community member. That option's also down below. There's a little join button. You can hit that. You can become a community member, and you can help me name this community. Next week sometime, the week of Christmas, I'm going to put up a poll, and I'm going to ask everyone with my like final contenders for the community name. I'm pretty excited. There have been some pretty great suggestions. So if you guys have one, also leave that down below. I'm going to pick my favorites, and I'm going to put them in that poll. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace.